Hi, I am back in Australia. It's been a week since I finished my Camino. Actually, it's been more than a week. I took 32 days and then I spent 4 days in Santiago at the end. And then after that, I spent a week in Madrid with some family. So yeah, I'm not long home, still kind of getting used to the opposite weather. It's the heat of summer here in Australia, so it's taken a little adjusting to get to that after being in the very cool of Spain. This is just going to be a really brief recap of my walk. I stayed in 9 albergues and 23 private rooms. I highly recommend paying a little bit more and getting a private room whenever you feel like it, because it really does help you feel refreshed the next day. Often the rooms were between 35 and 50 euros for one person, and a bed in an albergue was between 8 and 20 euros. So I thought that was worth it for me. The best thing I took and used every single day was my little travel clothesline, my twisted elastic clothesline. I left it with my daughter in Madrid when I came home. So if you want to know what I'm talking about, you can go back to my what I'm packing in my bag video at the very beginning and you'll see it there. I used it every single day. It was amazing, folded up to nothing, and it was such a valuable thing to take with me. The thing I didn't use at all was my Insta360 GoPro kind of camera. I did all my filming on my phone because it was way more convenient. I do wish I had taken a selfie stick or a tripod though, just so that I could do some photos when I didn't, or videos when I didn't have to actually hold my phone with my hand so close. For those of you who have watched my videos, you know that at the start I had trouble with my shoes and my toes then for the whole rest of my walk. The trail runners that I bought in Najera were fantastic. They were a Spanish brand, I believe, called Toma, and they were fantastic. They were a godsend. They saved the rest of my walk, otherwise I would not have been able to continue. Next time I wouldn't bother with a travel outfit. I would just wear my hiking shoes, my hiking gear on the plane as well. It really wasn't worth it. I carried it for the whole trip and never wore it again. So I actually left it in Spain when I came home. I just couldn't be bothered bringing it home. I mostly used my National Australia Bank card, just like a Visa debit card, and I was able to use that wherever I needed to, and it was really good for, it didn't have any extra charges for using it overseas, and I just loaded money onto it via my phone banking app. I found that I didn't need cash very much at all. I did take probably about 400 euros of cash out across the whole time and use that for different things, but there were only probably maybe 5 or 6 occasions where I had to have cash. The rest of the time I was able to use my card or my phone. Yes, the time of the year does affect your Camino and your experience immensely. There were, I think it was 63 pilgrims coming into Santiago on the day that I finished my walk, and there were only a small number of pilgrims in each of the accommodations that I stayed at along each stage of the way. Some days I found that I was on the trail by myself the whole walking time, and it wasn't until I actually reached a town that I spoke to somebody. And often that was because as I walked through the small towns, nothing was open at all. So you need to be prepared for the fact that it might say that there are things available in the stages in your guidebook, or on the internet, but quite often those towns were just tumbleweeds. You know, you just walk through and there was absolutely nothing, nobody about, no services, no food, and definitely nowhere to stay open in November and December. So that's something really important to be aware of, especially things like, you know, comfort stops, being able to get something to eat and or drink and stopping to use a bathroom. Those things are just not there. So you need to be prepared to do what you have to do when those things aren't available. And I think it's really important to note that I was walking by myself the whole time. So I was alone, a solo pilgrim, and I was never really perturbed by that. I found that I met a lot of people and everybody was so friendly. I really didn't have any negative experience with any other pilgrims. There were only a couple of occasions where I felt a little bit uneasy, and the only times that those were when I had to start before sunrise in the morning and it was still dark, and I was walking into, like, you know, forest or bushland. When it was in the city or in a town and it was dark, that was fine, or even along a road, I wasn't so worried. But when it was walking into the bush, I guess was what we call it here anyway, that was when I kind of just felt like I needed to be more aware of my surroundings and you know, take responsibility for my own personal safety. So every few meters I would stop, and with my headlamp on I would turn around and scan the road and or the path and the area around me, and just be aware of ensuring that there wasn't anybody who maybe didn't seem to be in the right place, or, you know, with bad intentions or anything like that. But I certainly did not end up with finding myself in that situation where I was concerned for my safety. All of my other gear I was really happy with. My hiking outfits, my puffer, everything else was great. My rain gear I managed with. My backpack from Aldi was amazing, fantastic. And my hiking poles from Temu, I can't fault them. I think they were like $20 and they were awesome. So yeah, I guess it's, you can be lucky. I guess you might not always have that positive experience with gear from places like that. Finally, with regards to it being in winter, I think you do have to be prepared for snow and cold. And as long as you've got what you need, then you should be fine. I had an emergency, you know, the reflective silver blanket with me. I had my sleeping bag, and I had warm clothes as much as I felt I needed. And honestly, I don't think there was a time where I actually felt that I was cold and I couldn't get warm. I always had something else that I could put on if I needed to, like if I felt that I was cold, or, you know, if I felt cold or that I was worried it was going to get colder. So yeah, I think that about wraps it up. I think finally, I guess when you finish, you kind of need to be prepared for the fact that it will be very emotional and overwhelming. Depending on what you're kind of expecting it to be like, it might be different for you. But I think, yeah, just go in and be prepared to take things a day at a time. Don't be upset if things don't turn out the way you expect, or if you have to change your plans. And, you know, just be flexible and be kind to yourself. Do what you need to do to get through, and yeah, just enjoy the journey. And thank you all for coming along with my journey with me. I hope that you enjoyed seeing what the Camino Frances is actually like in November and December, well, in 2024 anyway. And yeah, I really enjoyed my walk, my pilgrimage, and I hope you enjoyed watching it. Thanks so much, and buen camino.